Yeah, I need
This
my.
is the real spiel. Oh, we got these old men wearing spectacles, man. This is the real spiel with Del K. Brereton. And I got a superstar in the house. I got a superstar in the house. Let me, Mr. Hodges. This is Craig Hodges, NBA superstar, the three-point shooting legend. Mr. Hodges, I don't know if you know your statistics as good as I know.
No, I don't, brother. Ancient history.
Listen, I know, this is what I know. I know you shot 40% from the field. Okay. I know there's only one other guy in NBA history, one other guy who won the three-point shooting contest 3 times in a row, other than Larry Bird. There's only one other guy who did it. You know who that guy is?
It's a great thing to put that one in the air too, brother.
Hey. Only one other guy. I mean, they're talking about Steph, but Steph never won it 3 times in a row.
Well, first of all, man, just thank Almighty God and the wisdom that, we've been blessed with at this day and time to be able to see where we can do what we can do, and to be on the front line and organize as best we can to make a difference in the lives of those less fortunate than us, man.
Oh, and thank God for it. Tell me what before we get into it, tell us what you've been doing since the NBA, and what's the life of Craig Hodges like? Tell us, let us know.
Well, right now, man, it's a blessed time. I feel like all of the lessons that I've learned over the past 30 years, whether it be the white balling from the league, or whether it be seeing my sons graduate from college and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been a great ride, man, and it continues to be. And for me, at this day and time, to be able to organize with brothers like yourself and Mahmoud and Etan, and right now I think it's a wave that's happening, and I think it's more spiritual than it is physical.
No, I really feel that. I saw your show with Etan and Mahmoud, and I was like, man, I really wish I could talk to him. I really wish I could talk to him. And here it is. This is an incredible time, but you know what? This is not the first time. The scripture says there's nothing new under the sun.
Teach.
And Kyrie isn't the first Kyrie. Before there was a Kyrie, there was a guy by the name of Craig Hodges.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand exactly, because this generation, stuff goes in and out of their ear. But this is my depiction of it, and mine is media depiction. You're going to tell us better. My understanding was, and we're going to get into this, into some of the history a little bit, but you won a championship with the Bulls, with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and you were invited to the White House. Am I on point?
Yes, sir.
And you were invited to the White House, and you felt that you needed to say, you didn't want to go for a photo op. You said, this is my opportunity to talk to the man who makes things happen. And then apparently, I don't know if you gave him a letter. You can take the story from here. You gave him a letter, but that letter affected your career. That letter, in my understanding, somehow, and I'm gonna use the proper word, because that's what they were doing. They were blackballing. Mm-hmm. That letter sent your career and your life in a complete different trajectory. And I would like you to give us the first Kyrie story, the story that we haven't heard properly.
Well, I think for me, I was blessed to have my mom, who was, Lord bless her soul, was she was the leader in my life in as far as social activism was concerned. My mom was the secretary for the civil rights organization that I grew up under. So from a baby, I was part of the movement. And for me to see what organization was like then, to see what leadership was like, to live under leadership, and to have a chance to, come full circle to where now you have it on your shoulders, that you have an opportunity to take that position of leadership. And as far as this time is concerned, so we won our first championship in June 1991, and I thought we were going to the White House right after we won the championship. So I had my dashiki ready to go, but I hadn't written a letter. And,
right.
And it just shows you how the Creator is, in the same way you asking to sit down with me, how it comes into fruition. So the night before, we actually went during training camp of October. October 1st actually was the day that we went to the White House. And the night before, I was happened to be playing ping pong with a good buddy of mine, and in the middle of it, it hit me. It's time to write this letter. And I sat down and I wrote a letter to President Bush asking him to consider the issues of poor people, people of color, and especially our issues of us having been here for 400 years and having built the economy, the infrastructure, and everything else. Why shouldn't we be considered, the same way you consider foreign policy, consider our issues? And
Right.
basically that was it. It wasn't anything that was, I heard how people said I wrote a militant letter. I've never had a gun in my life. So, how could I be militant? Dr. King is my main man when I think in terms of, the evil triplets of militarism, racism, and economic exploitation. So I wasn't going there in that spirit. I was going there in the spirit of peace and unity. And I think that's where it is today, that, when I look at what's going on with Kyrie, and once again, it's not, when I hear people say, Craig was a, forerunner to Kyrie, man, I to me, when I look back at our ancestors and the divine inheritance that we're about to receive, not because we deserve it, but because what our ancestors went through, I think it behooves us to make sure that we take a true look at history. And for me, when I look at Jack Johnson, when I look at Paul Ropes, and when I look at Muhammad Ali, John Carlos, Tommy Smith, Kirk Flood, all the people that, I was raised under at my household, through my grandfather and my uncles. So, I was blessed to come through a household that was conscious about, how we're going to carry ourselves as far as what we can do to affect change. My granddaddy, man, he would tell me, I would go out and get the newspaper every morning. And wow. One morning he gave it to me. He said, "Hey, boy, check the paper out." And he told me, he said, "Where's the sports page at?" And I'm looking at the Sun Times, and the Sun Times opens like a book from the front to the back. And I told him this in the back, and he said, "That's not where you want to be." He said, "You want to be in the front of the newspaper, because that's where people are making differences." And that stuck with me. And as far as not so much as trying to make yourself bigger than life, but trying to make sure that you part of the process of making differences, man, and not standing on the sideline, being a spectator when history is happening.
When you gave that letter to George Bush, did you put it in his hand? Like, how did you give it to him?
Well, one thing, and that's why I tell people, when I look at what is our method and mode that we should, whether you want to call it protest or whether you want to just say standing up for your rights, what is the manner that it should take when we're concerned? So when I went to the White House, I was ostracized for it. And like you said, it was protocol. When I got to the bus, before we even went to the airport in Chicago, I let our PR guy know that I wrote a letter that I wanted to give to the president. Right. Knowing that, I don't want to be that one that's trying to hand the president something in the line, and then Secret Service come grab me.
Right.
So he told me that once we got to the White House that I needed to give it to his press secretary, which I did. And he told me he would give it to the president. And then when I met the president, I let him know that I had written him a letter, and he was surprised, and he said he would definitely read it. I don't know whether he read it or not. I never got a response, but I know it's in the George Bush Library in Texas.
So the letter's in the George Bush Library in Texas?
Absolutely.
So let me take us down a nostalgic path. Mm-hmm. You posted a letter. you just put out a letter. You didn't put out any anti-Bush sentiments.
Now, the wild part. Listen to the terminology. Mm-hmm. The terminology that you just used is 2022.
Right.
So that's social media platforms.
Right.
None of that was available.
That's right.
So when I gave the president the letter, no one knew it. No one saw it. The only person that knew it was the PR guy. And then when he told reporters came to me about what I wrote in the letter, I wouldn't tell them because it ain't none of your business. You know what I'm saying? At that point in time, it was about doing what I was supposed to do as far as, my mom, my aunts, they always told us that a way to make differences, to make sure that you put it on the record. And the way that we were putting it on the record during the civil rights movement was writing and making collective changes where legislation and all that's concerned, and that's through your pen. So I made sure that I stayed on that vein because I had written letters, man, to the senators and the secretaries and all that kind of stuff as I was coming through from elementary school all the way through college. So it wasn't anything different. And as far as getting a chance to write this letter, when I was sitting down writing it, man, and even now I get chills thinking about it because I was writing it for people who would love to have gotten a chance to do what I was getting ready to do tomorrow.
How old were you?
I was 31.
And this is I just want to hammer this in.
Mm-hmm.
You were judged for a letter that nobody knew what was in it before they judged you.
And I think it's the letter and the visible. The letter died to the dashiki. More people saw the dashiki than more the letter. And I think the imagery and the imagery is everything, man. Images, symbols, signs, all of that has some play in this civilization. So when they saw me, many people were like, the audacity of me having the whatever. And for me, it was just the opposite of that I was taught at Long Beach State that whenever we go to a royal event, we should wear our regal garments. And
right.
A regal garment is not an Armani suit with the tie of Osiris's penis. You feel me? That ain't what it's about, brother. It's about us making sure that we're on point to where, we can represent our ancestors and do it in a way that's peaceful, respectful, but courageous. And I think the courageous part for me is really when we stop and we really look at it, had the impact. And I want to give honor always, to our sisters, man, to realizing that the ancestral womb of our Black woman from Africa, man, that don't change. So this whole conversation with who's Jewish and who's not, it ain't even no conversation. And they know.
Don't go there yet. I'm still in this. I'm still in the letter part because I'm building you there. Tell me why your teammates, and I'm moving up the ladder of teammates, but tell me why your teammates in general, and then I'll get to the top of the head of the food chain. Gotcha. Why didn't your teammates support you when that whole controversy took place, or did they?
Well, behind closed doors, everybody supported me because I was saying things that everybody said in the locker room. Everybody said they kitchen table. Everybody in the league, we can dance around it. I don't care how many billions you have. You sat at a table with Black people who've talked about these issues, who've talked about, man, if I get an opportunity to consider this and take this to a higher level, I'm going to be the one that do it, or we're going to be the ones that do it. So like I said, we were ready. I was ready to go to the White House right after we won the championship. So when we were in the hotel and the sister gave me my dashiki after we won in LA, she was in LA. So she said she could have enough for all of us to go in dashikis. And so I told the brothers to come out in the hallway. Hey, man, this is how we going to the White House. We jumping around. We just beat the Lakers. And bro, no, Hodges, that's you, man. That's you. Because and the one thing, brothers, that I wore dashiki the entire playoffs, that championship run, because we got beat by Detroit the year before, and we cried like babies. And at that point in time, I told myself walking to the bus in a Black studies mode that we need our ancestral help. And I didn't know what that meant that summer. But the next year when the playoffs got ready to start, I said, you know what? I'm going to wear dashikis every game. And us being ritualistic as athletes, we're going to tie our shoes the same way. We're going to do everything the same. So once again, everybody like, oh, God, you got a dashiki for tomorrow, brother? I got one of these every day of the week. Let's roll, So it's one of those things that now when the national media and international media saw me at the White House in a white dashiki, that is the symbol of, I tell people all the time, Barack would have never gotten the White House had I not went first. And then we'll go there later too. But when we talk about my teammates, man, they were sympathetic, and then we asked why didn't they help? None of them really had studied our people like that, man. So I don't really expect I don't expect anyone who hasn't studied it to be able to speak to it in a manner that is going to be representative of where it truly comes from.
The elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna ask that question. What relationship did you have with Michael, and why didn't Michael? I mean, I know from the perspective that we have how valuable shooters were for a guy like Michael, a guy like yourself. At that time, we know there's Kerr, we know there's yourself. Oh, geez, what the white fella? He hit the shot. Oh, he's before Steve.
For the Bulls?
With the Bulls, he's before Steve.
Yeah, Bobby Hansen or Judd Bushler or because Trent came right after me. They brought in Trent Tucker right after me as a 3-point shooter.
It was a white guy, and Michael
Paxson. Yeah, Pax, my boy, man.
That's right. So Michael, we know what Michael did with spot up guys on the wing. I think Michael, like he loved himself some dudes who he knew when that drew that double, pow. And there's nobody in the NBA at the time when you played could do it like you. Why wouldn't Michael, with even if it wasn't personal, even if it wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna preserve this guy's career? Why didn't Michael at that time say, you know what? Leave Hodges. Then he would have had the almighty power to be like, just
okay, let's do this. Let's do this and I've never done this before. Let's do this. Duality. All right. Michael Jordan.
MJ.
MJ. Okay. Two different. All right.
Michael Jordan, MJ. Okay. Talk to us.
All right.
Who's who?
MJ is a teammate. Ice cold. Arguably nobody's done it better.
Nobody.
Right. So for me, when I look at championships, none of that would have been done without a brother by the name of Tex Winter, Lord rest his soul.
Yep.
Triangle.
The triangle master. Yep.
Triangle. So when we talk about our ascension as a team and as a unit and the chemistry and all of it, how it all bound together at a perfect time, we had a perfect group of players to play within the system that gave everybody expression.
Mm-hmm.
Under Doug's system, it was basically isolation basketball where you had 3 players playing and 2 players standing out by the hash mark, watching them do something. And then you trying to, so it was a different, Brad Sellers said it best was, when Phil came in, he brought in a new system and he allowed everybody a chance to eat. And right. That's what it boiled down to, and if Michael, and once again, see, when I say Michael, that's a different brother.
Right.
Okay. That brother realized from an economic end. So when we talking economics, now we're talking about Michael. All right. And that economic brother is cold, and he's been schooled and mastered by the best in the business. So he came into the industry not as a collective bargained player, but as an individual.
Right.
Now, how many of us in the rank and file of the membership brothers have that right to separate ourselves from the collective on any level within that collective bargaining agreement, but him? And I'm saying it loud and clear for my brotherhood who are members of that organization, because for me right now, with the market doing what it's doing, why can't I, as an individual within the collective, ask them, can I get my pension and put it into hard assets, diamonds and gold, as opposed to it sitting on the stock market and y'all let my job go crazy?
Hold the fort. You're saying you can't take your NBA pension out independently and take it anywhere else like anybody else can? Like a lira? You can't take your NBA pension and transfer it to another pension?
Hey, they won't even discuss it with you.
Wow.
You feel me? So those are things where I'm saying, once again, you have that superstar athlete. So when we talk about MJ, when we talk about on the bus, getting it in with the brothers, ain't no brother colder and cooler. Now, when it comes to that, see, one thing is this. winning. This right there, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You talking about it's a lot of brothers that's colder than Hodge, that was colder than MJ, that never put a ring on none of them fingers. Okay. Charles Barkley. But anyway, we ain't gonna go there.
Charles was colder than MJ. Hard.
No, I ain't saying he was colder than MJ. I'm just saying.
Oh,
he never got a ring.
Yeah, he never. Yeah, Patrick, Malone, Charles, a lot of dudes.
Man, so when you're in that vie for a championship, it is a crazy chemistry that comes about. You don't know when it's coming, and you don't know if you're gonna capture it again. So while you in it, you better be in it 100. We as a collective, with the best player that we know at any point in time, with 2 minutes in the game, we good. If we down 12, I knew we can go to MJ and we good.
Mm-hmm. And he knew if he got double and he kicked it to that corner, he's good because you're there.
And that's what else he knew. Within the system that we had, whatever the defense presented itself to him or anybody else, you had 4 options, brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it amazes me how nobody uses it in totality, but it's not amazing because they don't know it. If you don't know it, you can't teach it. The only person that can teach it is Craig Hodges right now on the planet.
I'm going to ask you a loaded Craig Hodges question.
Yeah.
I got a couple of them. Mm-hmm. Is Craig Hodges in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, man, I got to be in the Hall of Fame if our team is in there, but I ain't in there for Craig Hodges' sake. But I'm in there with the Bulls. I'm in there with the 3-point championship and all that kind of stuff. But that's not, for me.
No, I'm asking a weighted question. I'm sending it out everywhere.
Yeah, and
I'm sending it out. 3-time, back-to-back, 3. Chris Webber in the Hall of Fame. Chris Webber is in the Hall of Fame.
Let me say this. The cool part, brother, is that, and you once again, and let's go back to what we were talking about, okay? Because I want us as a collective to see the economics of sport and play.
Right.
All right. The economic exploitation of it. So we have a young brother from North Carolina, right? Mm-hmm. When he comes to Chicago, and Clyde Drexler is in Portland, it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. Believe me, it's a toss-up. Y'all cannot think this, but this is coming from the mouth of Michael Jordan.
Right.
All right. When he says Clyde Drexler is as good as me or better, but Clyde doesn't know how to play the game. Think on that, black people. You think he's talking about basketball? Do y'all think he's talking about basketball? No, that was Michael Jordan talking. He was saying he's as good as he is on the court. Clyde Drexler just as dope. But the relationships. See, we are stuck on stupid, black people. Excuse my French. Because economically, we are supporting things that are to our demise, whether we want to say it or not. Listen to me. Let me show you how cold it is. Us as a group who were his teammates in the locker room with him, we saw how cold he is in practice and in games and his courageousness and his mental acumen to be able to put a knife in it. You feel me? Now, we love that. We supported that. Don't think Nike made Air Jordan. It was us.
Right.
You feel me? It was Scottie Pippen sacrificing his 15, 20 attempts a game. It was Horace. It was Pax. It was Bill. It was Cliff. It was Scott Williams. It was Hodge. It was BJ. You feel me?
Right. There's a culture around him.
Come on. The culture around him gave him the platform to know that he could fail and dive into a passing lane is failing if you don't get the lane.
Right. And
Scotty got your back. And now we go another way to throw you an outlet because you just dove in the lane. So now you cherry picking to get your numbers. So it's a way that this thing has been like for instance, Scotty made a hell of a point.
Mm-hmm.
He said that when MJ was like looking at Pax, telling Paxi or Steve Kerr, he getting ready to come to them with the ball, and Scotty say he noticed that the camera was in his face. Then I said, think about it. See, a lot of this stuff, man, is and see, the world that we live in is stranger than fiction.
It's true.
Okay, so when this stuff that I'm telling y'all is stuff that I know, I didn't get this off the internet. I didn't go to YouTube. I was inside the triangle. I taught them brothers how to play the triangle. I taught Phil Jackson triangle. And now I can't get a job teaching it to at least 15 teams. If I brought this to the Bulls, we will win tomorrow.
Wow.
Follow me?
Is there another triangle? And this is the triangle I'll call it. Is there a triangle called the Jewish establishment?
Oh, man, come on, man. See, in this type of stuff. See, all the signs and symbols come from us. So you can take them and gyrate them, regurgitate them back to us in a different format, oppress us with our own symbology, and then economically make it as though this is mine, we are it, no one else is it, it only us. And now we control the mechanisms to be able to say, you know what? It's not no blackballed, it's whiteballed. So we have the mechanism to whiteball you. We have the mechanism to say, Kyrie Irving, you are going to bow to us before we let you hoop again. And brother Ye, homeboy from the Shy, we gonna take you to a point to where we gonna let you know. But you know the question I always ask, where is their force? Where is their true force at? Where is it? Where's their army? Where are their weapons? Where they will never come and sit down with us in a true and reconciliation deal. Like right now, the NBA needs to sit down with me and Mahmoud in a public forum like this. And now let's discuss this racism thing, man.
Yep. Let me ask you this, right what you're saying. I'm just going to ask you, Jewish establishment, white supremacy. Where are we with this?
Whoa. What is the difference? What is the difference? Let me show you something. Let me show you how cold it is. Okay, right here I have Jewish, Catholic, agnostic, Christian, and atheist. Okay, we line 5 Anglo-Saxons up. Did you know the difference of which was which?
No.
See how ice it is? That's how ice it is. That's how ice it is. Regardless to where you go, you are going to fall into what I call the web of deception. Regardless, I don't care if you a scientist at MIT making your 500,000, making almost $1 million, you still a nigga. Okay, so let's get it real. That I don't care where you at, black people. I love us. I love us to the tune of at least 50 mil. So I know what Kanye and Kyrie have been through, unlike Charles and Shaq. All right, as y'all sit there, multi-million dollars, and you calling our young brother an idiot.
Wow.
How are we acting? How are we acting on this global stage right now? They're giving you the platform, but they're giving you a platform with a pre-scripted message.
What is that message?
That message is, do not step outside of the bounds that we gave you.
And that's what we saw.
And you know what those bounds are, because you've seen those bounds since you was a baby. You follow me? Let me share something with you, brother. 1968, I'm 8 years old in Chicago. I wake up to the Black Panthers being murdered in their apartment. You follow me? And it wasn't no thing where Channel 9 News, Channel 7 News come on TV and say, hey, there's a warning, graphic descriptions coming about. No, it wasn't none of that. You wanted to put the fear of God into us by murdering and assassinating our leadership nationwide. And then you wonder why young men whose leadership is void now, they're searching for independence, they're searching for identity, and they're searching for charisma that was given to them by their leaders, but now their leader's gone. So how do I foster that? And
wait, let me ask you this question. How do I foster that? Right here. What is the mental and emotional effect on black men and the black community, just what you said, when Kyrie now is the Black Panther being killed in his house, when Kyrie is the black man being emasculated for all of us to see? Go ahead and finish that, but put Kyrie in the context. How does that outwardly affect us?
Let me say this. This is the biggest part, brother, and that we have to realize. They are trying to emasculate brothers to the point where sisters can be annihilated. All right. All right. That's the bottom line, because this thing is about the origin of things. The origin of things. The origin of things is your mama and my mama. Period. That's why they skewing the argument over here to us. Like we matter. We do not matter. We don't matter. We are the body of Christ. The sisters is the head. The sisters is the Godhead. So we stop and we think. All right. Every single household in 1960 through 1970 had a triunion of people. It was Jesus Christ, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, John Kennedy, and Martin Luther King.
I remember watching Good Times, and she had her white Jesus on the wall, and her husband wanted a black Jesus.
Nah, stop right there. Now let me show you something. Show you how cold the game is. I ask people all the time, if we've been lied to, that means it was the opposite. The opposite of the white, blonde hair, blue eye is not me and you, it's black woman. It's the black woman. So if the black woman been the Christ all the time, but y'all been lying to us, it's no reason that we see how spiritual our woman has been throughout history, and nobody can deny it. Your grandmama, my grandmama, the most spiritual people you ever seen on earth, and had the most to be mad about.
The black community in Africa, West Africa, and even in America and in the Caribbean has always been a matriarchal.
Stop. There you go.
This is what they've done in the West. In the West, they've said, because of the strength of our women, and because they have seen that the black family, even with the strength and the undergirding of the strong black woman, is still led by a strong black man. If we can sever that, if we can somehow incentivize the black woman from saying, well, I don't need him. I've got government funding. I don't need him. I've got affirmative action. I don't need him. I still get a job before him. They're giving me grants, but they have severed one of the most powerful aspects of the black community is the black family, and have tricked black women into believing in this culture that they don't really need us anymore.
You know, so heavy, man, Dr. King, when he was making, and I advise everybody to, take a chance to listen to Why I'm Opposed to the Vietnam War. Close your eyes and listen to the brothers, to the spiritual of it. And he said, when we went into North Vietnam, when we went to Vietnam, we went in and we took out the number one structure, the family unit. All right. And when we destroyed the family unit, we blowing in the wind. Right. So when we look at where we are right now, our division is their victory. Our unity is our victory. Mm-hmm. The battle has been won. The battle been won. But now we're fighting amongst ourselves. So you have a brother like Charles Barkley and Shaq who gonna go down.
Skipping, yep, shucking and jiving, yeah.
That's what's visible. But what you said is powerful. That ain't visible. Sisters are credited up. Sisters are jobbed up.
Yep.
Sisters are unified up.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to holler at them on just them things. How do we unify up? How do we unify up as brothers?
But this is why when we saw the Hebrew Israelite brothers walk,
oh, no question,
black men straightened up. Oh. And I'm talking as a Christian. I'm not talking as a Hebrew Israelite. When I saw these men walk down the street in the Barclays Center, everything inside of me stood up straight.
Yes, sir.
And And as a man in the West, I'm in Canada, I've educated in America, born in Trinidad and Tobago, but as a black man, as a man of ethnicity, as a man from the continent, from the diaspora, I said, there goes what we're supposed to look like.
And you know, the beautiful part is we were in uniform.
Yeah.
You follow me? And the uniformity is the unity. And that's the piece where right now we on the cusp of it, brother. That's why these conversations are so critical. And it's so critical to, like I say, when we win in championships, we know how critical momentum is. And that momentum is something that you can't manufacture. It's organic. It has to be, it's incrementally approached. And then once you get it, it's like a wave. And now you're riding a wave. But one thing is it can be sustained. And it can be sustained through a conscious thought process that consciously day to day we're thinking about how can I move in a manner that's going to affect my people for a legacy fashion, not just for this short-term transactional thing. We have been, and now one of the things that with us as brothers, that so many times we become transactional in our approach to life, not looking at this thing as a transitional relationship approach thing, that once I get with Brother Dale, this thing is going to be transitional. This ain't a transaction just to get me online and holler at some people. You know what I'm saying? So many times we are looking for, how do I get that hit, man? Hey, man, let me get a hit on that. Hey, man, let me drop this cue over here, man. And we on that, as opposed to how can I do something with my life that is going to be transitional for generations to come, that's going to have a way that I'm going to impact people, and I'm going to impact people in a way that I want to be impacted. You feel me? I don't want to be impacted in a way that is going to be negative who I am as a person. That we look at, and that's the thing with that whole it's a separation. Like I say, with that MJ thing, it's a separation, man. That there are those who say they're Jews and are not.
Yeah.
And those are what we're seeing in the Ukraine. That's what people don't want to talk about. See, a lot of this, people need to go to Vladimir Putin a month ago, and listen to the speech that he gave to the Western nations.
What did he say?
He said this. He said, we are Orthodox Christian nation.
Wow.
That's the first thing he said. He said, unlike the West, where our prepubescent children can decide whether they want to be a girl or a boy. He said, that's not our society. Now, that in itself is something that is not palatable to Western society.
Yeah.
So when we say, what's going on over there? Why is it billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars going every other week? Do we stop and ask any questions? We look at, and that's part of why this is going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this is going on with Kanye, with Kyrie. The Minister Farrakhan spoke to the issues. You feel me? And then you got their side speaking the issues, idiot, and all of that. The lines are clearly drawn. And why are they drawn that way? They're drawn that way because this thing is about who are the original people. Simple.
And you know what else? And I'm going to hit you right back in that conversation because we're going there. You said something about momentum.
Yes.
And you said that when you're playing and you're winning and momentum propels you, and sometimes it dissipates. But there's another type of momentum that I've been warning the Jewish community about, and it's the momentum of anger from the Black community that has reached a point where I believe in this moment and in this season, there has been a line drawn where Black men and women are looking at that line saying, you've pushed us too far now. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a dangerous time. I'm not inciting anything. No. I'm not telling anybody to go hurt anybody. No. I'm saying what we saw it in New York City where the mayor just had it. They just said they quashed a violent conspiracy to attack Jewish people. I'm saying we're in a dangerous time where we have been pushed to the brink, where Black people are saying your sports stars are anti-Semitic, your entertainers are anti-Semitic, your religious leaders are anti-Semitic. Your authors and your filmmakers are anti-Semitic. Anybody who supports them is anti. Everything. You are the new racist, and black people are like, "What did you call me?"
And you know, would have changed all of that. Would have changed all of that. That little title, that anti-Semitic. If we just say, you know what, we love our women, we love sisters. We love sisters. We want, that's what we on. That's what we on. We on raising our sister back to the throne that you annihilated off the throne in Egypt. And they've been off of the stage of history, even though they've been the most powerful factor in American history. Mm-hmm. All right. To the point where the sister was so powerful that our master, slave master, put your child on her breast.
His child, yeah.
So what is in that is the essence of life. So all of this other garbage that we trying to, y'all floating this out here just to try to get me confused. I ain't confused. I ain't confused because I know that the return of sisterhood is the return that we've been looking for. So that 2,000 years of that blonde-haired, blue-eyed cat, that's over. The age of Aquarius is the dawning of black woman back on the throne. We can deny it all we want to. We can be mad at it, all of that. Me, I'm going to support it, but I am working to do what I can do in my space because they the queen, we the kings. So we have to build as they building. They already building.
But I think there's a system. I think there's a new social revolution.
Oh yeah.
That allows them, and sisters, I'm not putting you against black men at all. And I'm not, and this is not what I'm trying to say. I'm thinking there's a system that is part of the emasculation of society. And think of it like this. I'm going to let his wife rule over him. I'm going to pay her more. I'm going to allow her to be better educated. And it's going to upset him. It's going to emasculate him. It's going to keep him small. I think there is an underpinning of society. I'm here in Canada, and this is a statistic, a crazy statistic for those who don't know. In the black community, in corporate Canada, 1%, if you're qualified, educated, black men make up 1%. Heterosexual black men are only half of that 1%. So this is what it means. It means that I have a 0.5% chance as a heterosexual black man to get into
corporate America,
corporate Canada, right?
Yeah.
Sisters are in here at about 3%. That's not very much either, right?
Right.
But when you compare it, the black woman essentially has 6 times more capacity to be in corporate Canada because she is exactly what you said. She's a queen. She's exotic, right? But she's not that monster gorilla Negro that might walk in here and take her. The concept of her doesn't cause them to be fearful.
And you know, like for instance, when we were talking from way back. It's only 2 free people in America: white man and the black woman.
Wow.
So, to me, in a lot of ways, they are fearful. White man, Anglo man, controller. They're fearful of that sister for real. So they want to say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. They know who that sister is. The sister will take them out quicker than we are. We saw that in Black Panther, the movie, right?
You didn't take them out though. Oh,
I'm not the new movie.
I don't want to spoil it.
I'm talking about the first one where the sister was the warriors.
Okay, right.
And that from that standpoint, sisters are in a position, and they've been in a position, over the last number of years. You look at it, man, all across America, how many sisters are in positions of power? That's not by coincidence. That's by a spiritual realm that's coming across, man. And
Pamela, yeah.
And I think right now more than any other time, like you say, wherever we at on earth, brothers, like that, what you just explained. You feel me? If we're in Britain, brothers are on the low end. Wherever we find ourselves, we on the low end. But at the same time, I think right now there's a certain rise that's happening, man, and it can't be stopped. It can't be stopped.
Listen. And for those in the comments, what Mr. Hodges is saying is that it is clear. There's a clear theme in our communities that our communities are not paternally led at this moment. This is why the Hebrew Israelite utilization of men is so shocking to us. We know that what it's supposed to be, but it's not what it's supposed to be. We're seeing in the churches, woman, thou art loose. We're seeing in the churches that the churches there's more women than men in the churches
all day.
So there's family. The family structure is more set up to focus on the black woman. When these young men get their MVPs, who do they cry to? Thank you, mama. Thank you, mama. Where's dad? So we're not saying that the paradigm is supposed to be maternal. What we're saying is what we see is maternal. Right. And what is coming around right now, which I think is wonderful, that the leaders of this new social revolution that is taking place, where organizations like the ADL and the S, what is it called? The Southern Law Community, whatever it's called.
Yes, Southern Poverty Law Center.
Southern Poverty Law Center. They have identified hate groups whereby strong black men are leading them, and they are allowing any other group led by our sisters to sneak in. Now, maybe that's our secret weapon.
It always has been. And that's why I was blessed, and I'm gonna say that, man. I was blessed to go to Long Beach State.
I was going to ask you where'd you go to high school and where'd you go to university?
I went to high school. I went my freshman year to Bloom High School in Chicago Heights. I grew up in Chicago Heights, Illinois. I transferred to Park Forest Rich East High School when I was a sophomore. Steve Fisher, who was the coach of the Fab Five and all of that was my high school coach. So I was blessed to have great coaching and great mentorship all the way through. Then when I got to
wait, in high school, were you nice? Were you nice? What was your game in high school? What was?
I shot the ball. When I think back of how I shot the ball in high school, and then when I got it with Tex Winter, when I shot the ball in high school, my ball was so flat, man. I don't know how I went in. You know what I'm saying? But it was like I shot 63% from the floor my senior year, and I averaged probably close to
63%.
Yes. And we didn't have a three-point line. I didn't have a three-point line until I got to college. So in college, until I got to the pros. Had I had a three-point line in college or high school, I had 41 points my first game in high school. That would have been almost a 70-pointer because all of them was from deep.
And that was in grade what?
That's grade 12.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So now you're a killer. And now you're getting national attention. What type of attention did you get in high school?
I got recruited by all the Big Ten schools, but for me growing up, I was watching UCLA and what they were doing with John Wooden's teams. And, I always wanted to go to the West Coast. I wanted to get out of these cold winters and get to some sunshine. So Tex Winter was recruiting me for Northwestern. And my senior year in high school, he got the job at Long Beach.
You knew Tex Winter right way back then?
Yes, Tex was at Northwestern, and when he took me to Long Beach State with him. I was under him for 4 years. First thing he told me when I signed my letter of intent, if you stay with me for 4 years, I guarantee you will be in somebody's training camp. And that was enough for me. You feel me? So right. I was a happy-go-lucky camper from freshman through junior year. Senior year, I put my thinking cap on and I got to work. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't worried about nothing until my senior year. It was just me going through having a great time, and that's why I say, so many times, and I suggest to anybody out there, especially those who have children, help your children find their passion early, man. Mm. My granddaddy told me at 6 years old, on my 6th birthday, he gave me all of the catcher's gear and told me the quickest way to the big show, which was to be a pro, was to be a catcher. So I caught for the next 8 years. And I was ice. I was better at baseball than I was at basketball, probably until I was probably a senior in high school, because I just quit playing baseball. But I could play every position in baseball, man. Hit right or left-handed, but it was boring. It was boring. The basketball was interactive. and I could communicate. I love to talk to people and all of that. So it's one of those things that basketball was more of an inclination to me. And my uncle in 1963, he was a junior college basketball scoring champion. So he taught me how to shoot the ball when I was very young and taught me how to work. And I think that the work part of it connected to, the joy of learning. My aunts and my sister educators. So for me, it was, I knew how to read before I could hit a baseball. You know what I'm saying? I knew how to write before I could get to school. So it was one of those things that's always been a pleasure to me, even now, researching, and then get to Long Beach State and get the tutelage of my first professor was Dr. Maulana Karenga, the founder of Kwanzaa. So
oh, wow.
I was blessed to have Dr. Khalid Muhammad, bless his soul, former, spokesperson for the Minister of Farrakhan in the nation. So I had great people who taught me research method, and that what is your commitment to the ancestors? It ain't even about what's going on now. It's commitment to how you got here. And until you fulfill that commitment, you can't even look at what's going forward. It's about what you owe. Because not all of us are even thinking about what we owe. So there's a lot of us, we ain't even thinking about how to resolve the issues of a downtrodden people who have been oppressed. How many of us are thinking like that? Oh man, when I see Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, Barbara Sizemore, that's what I'm saying, that the researchers have done the info for us. Now it's ours we got to go and mine and get some of these jewels that have been put out for us. And now we gotta synthesize it. For me, like when I talk about teaching how to shoot a jumper.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to answer this question after this.
Yes. Actually, we can do that now. One of the things like this is so critical that we almost need to have a standing podcast that's our classroom for the next 5 to 10 years. That all of us buy into this programming. And if it's not yours, it can be a network of brothers and sisters who have podcasts that are geared towards not only bridging the gap, but healing us.
Mm-hmm.
How do we see? We were blessed to come up in the 60s. I tell people, the sports that we played under, the music that we played under was the golden age of both.
Right.
Well, so much of the music that is used today is sampled from
us.
From us, that when we was hearing, when I tell people, when I hear Marvin Gaye, I'm seeing the whole orchestra, you know what I'm saying? And that they're making the actual music, not sampling it. And that, how do we go back to that? So that's another gap. That's part of that gap that we can bridge, get us back to actual having children get into music, learning that music has a knowledge and a whole, you have notes. It's a whole written language of its own.
Right.
And it's a myriad of jobs. So, I think that part is so critical. Bridging that gap is us helping brothers and young sisters find their passion as early as possible. We have programs in the community that help you find your passion early. That once again, and for me, I was blessed to see Black love and feel what that was. It was, most of the time it was inferred, but you've seen it in that. When I grew up in my elementary school, whoever was sitting next to me, their life was more important than mine.
Mm.
And I knew that my life was more important than theirs to them. And that's the part that ain't there no more. That I'm willing to sit in class with you and see you come in with a fresh pair of kicks on, and I'm gonna tell my boy we jacking his ass at 4:30.
That's how it was.
You feel me? But that's why I say we have an opportunity. And now, like I say, like this, when they took music out of school, okay, public. So let's go to when we talk about the Jewish community. They have Saturday schools. They have school where they come and they vibe right on us.
Cultural schools.
Man, we need that. We need that. And to think about it, me and my son had this conversation all the time about where education should go. And his position is, we create something, that makes that obsolete.
Right.
So it's not a thing about let's just put together the curriculum, start to bring our people over here, and pretty soon our people see this is better than that. Let's just go on over here. And that's
you know what else too? When you talk about the arts, I was trying to show my daughters tap dancing. I was trying to find this movie of what was his name? Gregory Hines. And there was this movie, and it was Sammy Davis Jr. and all these old cats who could just tap. Like art forms. Where have our art forms gone? And this is what I want to frame this. The NBA is a Jewish company. It's a privatized Jewish company. You can't buy shares in it. Okay? Rap music, right?
Just say music.
Music in general is controlled by that market. I'm sorry. If this is anti-Semitic, ADL, well, I'll guess so. But when we go back to the art forms, when we teach our young people the art forms, music, tap dancing, our stuff, that was our stuff, right? Jazz, the blues, all of that has been pushed aside for the almighty dollar. Once we know, oh, that boy can make $100 million just wearing a pair of shoes. Now we don't care. We don't care about university. We one and done. And one and done, I don't mind it because it was just giving the colleges money anyway. But
right.
I'm saying that we have now almost neglected everything we brought to the table and said, we're just going to put our children in these two silos because there is a status quo that's marketing that to us to say, we can't make any money if he's a little tap dancer. We can't make any money if he's singing the blues. But if you bring him all over here, we'll give you $50 million. We'll make 350, but we'll give you $50 million. And it just, when you look at it, you're like, wait a minute, we've been tricked.
Yeah, and I call it falling through the funnel. That they make it like it's grand and that everybody can get through. Then when you get there, you see that it's only, it's a funnel to make us think that we have the opportunity. But in fact, like you said, you got a better chance to be a doctor than playing the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So the numbers have risen dramatically when you talk about the number of European countries and foreigners who are getting more of an opportunity to showcase their talents than we are oftentimes.
And let me highlight this Jewish gentleman, and I'm saying, wow, we're so terrified you're going to learn to play music. Sir, that's not what we're saying.
No. And see,
this is a Jewish gentleman, I'm sure, because he's so I want to give him his time. No, that's not what we're saying. Go ahead, Mr. Hodges.
This is beautiful. It's not a matter. And see, once again, when you say we, once again, I think you missed the point that we as a people, we have always thought in terms of we being a universal mindset. Part of the problem is when those who have oppressed us and been in that situation where they're becoming a target and somebody asking questions about what was your position in our oppression, now y'all get upset. But we're not saying that you terrified. We're saying that why is these things happening? Why is it that you're in a position to be able to say no to Craig Hodges, no to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf? Learning to play music, that's not, that ain't nothing, brother. What is something is for us, and to be able to sit down as a human being, not as a behind this stuff that we can throw stuff out there. And it's not a matter of us being terrified of anything. Not at all. It's a matter of us saying right now that we are a blessed people. And we're blessed people not because of anything but our ancestral suffering. That's what we're saying. And that in that there comes some divine inheritance. All right. And in that divine inheritance, we're going to teach our children to play music again. And we're not worried about anyone being terrified of anything. In fact, I think it's a cultural bond that goes on in music. And that's why our music has been usurped from us. on so many different levels at so many different times throughout its history because it had a spiritual impact.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? The impact of Motown.
Mm.
The impact of Motown and the music was woven into the culture of the movement. So now, the same way, our music has been woven into this culture of madness that you want me and my children to be involved in. And now when we're involved once again in our own demise.
In our own demise. Why has it, and listen.
And once again, before you go on, you know, when you're talking about the national basketball industry, okay, let us check out, there's only really 6 media companies that run everything. Whatever you're looking at, whatever you're reading, it's only 6. And they hold Jewish passports. They hold Israeli passports. That ain't me. That's the math. That is the science of this thing called internet, where you have the ability to do research like anybody else.
That's right.
When we research, when Kyrie was researching, he came across Hebrews to Negroes. He's searching on his divine line and where he fits into that.
Right.
No different from a Jewish scholar.
Right.
A Jewish student athlete that's looking at Judaism and the impact it has had, or Zionism and the impact it has had. So once again, we have the ability where we are now, because we are free, to research and speak in a manner that free people speak. And that's what the problem is. They haven't realized that within this age of Aquarius, everybody is free now. So you can't ostracize us no more. You can think you are, but even though you think about it, you took a half a million billion from Kanye, and the next day he still had over 450 million. Right. So did you really take anything?
But this is what they realize. We can't punish Kanye, so let's find somebody else to punish.
And then once again, pretty soon you ain't gonna have nobody punished because everybody gonna be standing up.
That's right.
So you know who's gonna be okay. We can target Craig Hodges. We can target McMood. We can target Colin Kaepernick. We can but pretty soon and the crazy part is it's getting old.
Yep.
Those are your old tactics. Your old tactics, they're not working on the general public anymore, especially with the social media platforms the way they are, and people are able to go right.
Wake you up.
Man, like
little dummy like me, just a little political science dummy, little guy who reads his books, can come on a platform like this and wake up millions of people and then sit back down, because information is going around too quickly, too fast. We're debunking things that have been set in stone for years, and people are scared.
All right, and now, and this is the beautiful part for me. The people who are scared have been the people who have been heretofore boasting about how strong they are.
Correct.
Joe Biden, America. We walk around here. We've been the police for the world.
Right.
Now we have, think about this. We call ourselves that exceptional, on top of the hill. We the light of the world and all this. And we can't even feed our babies, man. We don't have enough infant formula. Think about that. We running out of diesel fuel, that we have a railroad strike that if it comes off the week after next, it's going to be some drama worldwide. And that's the part where I'm saying this whole scheme of getting us to stick on this Jewish issue, because you don't want us to see the unification of Africa and its mineral rights back in the BRICS nations. You don't want us to vibrate outside of this little bitty box that you done gave me as this is what your history is. You came here in slave ships, and that's all you just steal from that. You never. No. We look beyond that and we see the glorious past, and that we were cut off for a certain period of time because of our failure. Okay, so now We didn't pay. Our ancestors paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting a chance to say, okay, let's go. Let's roll. And that's what they hate to see. And when I say they, I'm saying the white Anglo-Saxon power structure, the Catholic power structure, the city of London, the Vatican, the city of DC, all of these capital cities that have heretofore controlled us. And this is the wild part for me is think about this, man. When I think about Charles Barkley,
Mm-hmm.
Shaquille O'Neal, and their stature.
Wow.
And their stature. That in the old world, y'all would have been the frontline soldiers.
Absolutely.
Gladiators.
That's right.
But now the way this thing has so backed up, and we got to say that I have to always give kudos where kudos is due.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the science of slavery, the science of grafting, the science of making a slave. Because think about it. There was a period of time when you took that first ship, it had to stop somewhere to make these people into slaves.
Mm-hmm.
There was a group called the slave makers. We don't talk about them in history. We don't talk about what happened in the Caribbean and how you had to, before you got us to America, you had to train us into becoming nothingness. What did you take away? What is 3-5? When you tell me in our quote unquote history, Black people were 3/5 of human beings.
Right.
Okay. When I stop and I think about it, I say, okay, you took away God and you took away my tongue. Yeah. That would bring me back to 5. To me, just now if I got God and I got my tongue, you can't pull no jive over me. You can't pull the wool over my eyes and tell me something is what it's not. You can't tell me that Christopher Columbus discovered a people.
And that's where we are right now. We're not revisionist. And this is where we are, Mr. Hodges. We're not revising history. We are revealing history.
Once again, like you say, it wasn't no discovery, it's uncovering. You feel me? We're uncovering the facts that heretofore you have been able to manipulate, misuse, abuse, and then capitalize. You know, you think about the capitalization of us as people, and then you look and say, man, think about why y'all so rich. Mm-hmm. Think about why you've been able to do what you do. You didn't have black power, black mind, black woman, all of that under your control and might for how long? And you still want to try to keep us like this. You still want to be able to say, you know what? We own you. This stuff right here, the NBA is the last bastion, that professional sports, that's the last bastion. That's why they'll become billionaires. And now I want to own a sport franchise. Why? Mm-hmm. I want to say I own some niggas. You follow me? And we don't want to get with that fact, but come on, let's get with it. You know, true. Get with the facts that economic exploitation, it ain't about me not liking you, you doing this. No, you are talented and I can exploit you. And if you're not smart enough to know how talented you are, then I'm going to pimp you.
I'm going to keep exploiting you.
Man.
But this is the new thing they've done. This is the new thing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change that collective bargaining agreement and I'm going to pay you a little bit more. I'm just going to give you a little. I've been robbing you for years. So even if I double it, I'm still killing you. I'm going to give you a little bit more.
And what else I'm going to do? I'm going to make it so relaxed that you can go play wherever you want to. Mm-hmm. So we can get 19 of the best players on one team. Oh, they're going to win the championship. I can tell you they look great on paper, but they ain't going to be able to do nothing.
No.
You know what I mean? So all of this stacking, I can go over here and play.
Malone tried it. Karl Malone tried it. I said, Charles Barkley said that about Magic, when Magic was caught HIV and they didn't want to play with them, I stood up and I said, you two son of a guns will never win. And I remember when Karl Malone and Gary Payton and they stacked on the Lakers, I said, I don't care what that team looks like, it's not going to win.
Yeah, and it was funny to me. It was funny to me that Gary Payton, like, when they brought him in, the first thing he said, and I was like, oh, he don't know nothing about what he's talking about. And I love Gary. He's my boy.
Right.
He says, man, We're going to be running so much, we ain't going to even have to use the triangle. I'm like, dude. And I'm thinking, like, Gary, it's 82 games and another 20 in the playoffs, brother. You ain't going to be able to run that much. You follow me? It's going to be some slow down, and we're going to have to grind this thing out. And if you use your system, you're going to be straight. But if you're going to try to go into this screen and roll thing,
didn't happen.
You and Carl going to run screen and roll, and what is Kobe going to be over there doing? You follow me? He ain't going to be, hey, and Kobe ain't going to take too kindly to you coming off that screen and roll and not finding it.
That's right.
So it's it's always chemistry. It's not the dictates of who got the most money or who can buy the best talent, man. It's a certain chemistry that has to bind together, and players have to buy into a system. Championships.
I got a question for you. Mm-hmm. We're going down. We're coming down. We're coming down.
Oh, this is an interesting one at the bottom.
Oh, what's that?
Nets owner Sai is the owner of Alibaba.
Right. Right.
You know, those connections are so insidious. And that's what I'm saying, that even though you here as an owner, you enslaving people over there. So our thing has always been oppression anywhere is oppression everywhere. So I cannot get with a company that has children doing slave labor and I'm in their gear. Wow. No, we can't. And now we have the ability to do that same thing here. And we are billionaires and millionaires. And think about the collective of money we have as a nation of Black people in America and Canada, man. You know, I had a chance to coach up in Halifax.
Oh, okay.
And it was so wild to me that I didn't know the large population of African people.
Black.
Yes. And when I found out that's
the Underground Railroad went
exactly. And then I found out the story of the Maroons,
right, and
all of that, man. And it was like, wow, it was eye-opening to see that how much we share in North America.
In Halifax, when the Loyalists, they were called the Loyalists.
Yes.
They were fighting against, the Blacks were fighting against the Americans.
Yes.
And they said, if you fight against Americans, you know, you're going to be free and we're going to give you land.
Right.
And they gave them land that was not farmable. It was the worst possible land.
And it was so crazy. It was funny. Like when we go down south, we call it going down south.
Mm-hmm.
I was there. They were saying we're
down home.
Up home.
They said up home.
Up home. And I was like, wow, this is a trip. You know what I'm saying? And then when I went to check it out, it was amazing how the Royal Canadian Police,
RCMP, yep.
They sit at the bottom of it. They won't even go. They won't even go up in there. And I'm like, wow. And then when you go up in there, you see the streets are named after the people who came there, and they expected them to die, man.
Right, the brothers. I have a question.
Yes.
If you were playing today,
oh my goodness,
and you were on Kyrie's team, and you saw what was taking place. Now, everybody, especially a lot of my followers, and thanks to all my followers, everybody that's here, all of my Win members, Earth members, I've been watching you. I've been just engaged with this conversation with Mr. Hodges, my spirit and fire activist followers. But if you were involved in that, would you have attempted a walkout to get the team?
No doubt. Man, ain't none of us playing. And see, at this where we are now, you could be gangster with it.
Yep.
It could have been gangster like this. Kyrie ain't playing. I'm going in the locker room before the game and I'm taking everybody's uniform. That's the type of job I'm gonna do. Now I'm gonna take all these uniforms, I'm gonna throw them in the garbage. And y'all ain't gonna know what garbage I put them in. Now, what we gonna do when the coach come out the locker room? We ain't hooping today. We ain't hooping.
So why are these kids doing it now? We begged. We were like, Kevin Durant, say something, Kevin. Kevin was your Jordan. Kevin, say something. He said nothing.
Question. Where's the executive director of the Players Union? Where is she at? I haven't heard.
Bought and paid for.
Once again, I don't know. But once again, these are things where I'm asking the collective membership past and present, of this organization that is so loyal. We're loyal to our players. We're loyal to our players. Why are they under contract to us? You're not loyal to the players after they're out of your realm of influence.
Right.
When you can't make the bread you were making on them when they were active. Now, come on. That's not how this thing should be done. When you look at players, former players like Earl Monroe, who wanted to be a coach and couldn't get, you feel me? When I look at Kareem, I don't understand you, brother. I don't understand.
I don't get him. I don't understand him. He's switched so far. I don't get, like, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to be relevant again because LeBron's about to pass you? I don't understand what Kareem is doing. I don't get it. I wish he would just be quiet so I can like him again. And he's a Trini. He's a Trini like me. I'm like, Kareem, you're killing your legacy, bro.
And that's the thing, is that and I said that earlier, I think when we were talking with Etan, is how do they know who they can call on? And have you made these pacts with these brothers or sisters that when it comes time to speak to these issues, we can't speak to them anymore? It used to be a time where we could have, somebody like the guy that was with the Dodgers that came on and talked about Black people in a certain kind of way and didn't really think anything was wrong. And then he got, my bad. Them days is over because it ain't no more my bads. All right. Now is the time where we're going to hire Black men specifically to talk about black men on a level where we can't castigate them or criticize them like that anymore. So we'll pay you handsomely to be opinionated.
Right.
And see, once again, I'm asking the question to Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith. You feel me? Stephen A. goes on, and I don't know. I want to find some lawyers to talk to these issues because once again, we could sue. We need to sue some people.
Yeah.
Let's start. Right now I want to ask
the ADL. Let's start with the ADL.
Let's start with Disney. Let's start with the corporations that these talking heads work for when they utilize and speak about people in such manners that are borderline libelous and slanderous. You feel me? I think that I have a case right now against Stephen A. Smith. The brother will dare not call me back or have me on your show, but you can go on national TV and say that I'm broke. And I'm asking your audience, if you sitting where you sit and you haven't called me, you don't know nothing about me, you going on whatever you going on, but you can come on national TV and say, Phil Jackson brought Craig Hodges back because everybody know he was broke.
Listen, you know what? I saw Kenyon Martin the other day, and Kenyon Martin said this, and this is me advocating for this. He said Stephen A. Smith was talking crazy about him, but he saw him on vacation, and he walked up on him and said, you better never put my name in your mouth another time. Some of these dudes, they go so far. They go to the place of personal. It's too personal. Sometimes these dudes need to just be walked up on and say, you know what? I don't have any charges. I'm gonna take a minor assault charge.
And see, my thing is no. Let's do them like they do us. Let's hit them in the pocket. That's the only realm. That's the only power that the Jewish constituency has, is to check us in the pocket.
Right. They tax us. Right.
You feel me? So when you white ball Craig Hodges, you white ball me at the height of my earning potential. You follow me?
Yeah.
You got Kanye at the height of his earning potential. Kyrie, height of earning potential. Because it is about the utilization of resources to change the condition of people. I don't care what people it is. If you ain't got the resources, it ain't gonna change it. You can think about it, you can love doing it, but if you ain't got nothing to tie the resources to the programs, it ain't happening.
True. And money answers all things.
They have had the ability to make sure that we can put a harness where we want to at a given time to be able to not only keep you in check or pull you out of the realm, but to put all the other brothers and sisters in check because, hey.
How do we break that? How do we know
it's
I'm
already
talking the NBA. Let's talk about the NBA. How do the NBA players, the richest, correct me if I'm wrong, the richest generation and the most powerful generation of NBA players based on their collective bargaining agreement and their ability to do whatever, if we gave it to them and say, Jaylen Brown and all you, how do we break that level of control in America, in sports, in the culture? Give us what we're going to close in 10 minutes, guys, but give us what you think.
Yeah, once again, when I look at that, that's their realm, bro. That's their realm. We just said it's a private entity. So now, if you want, it's like Mahmoud said, if you want Kyrie to sit down on these 6 issues, we got 6 issues you need to sit down on. So the collective bargaining agreement needs to filter farther beyond just what happens with the players. For instance, you can have a certain number of people who are executive directors for the TNT part of things. What's going on behind the camera is like 1% of black people, brother. When we're talking about the executives in the executive suite of TNT and all the people, all those corporate entities, ESPN and Disney and all of that, they collective bargaining can make a difference in those things. Our collective bargaining, because you said yourself, we are the richest and we are a group that is malleable, that we can make some things happen. It ain't 2,000 of us. We not the locomotive union. All right.
All right.
We are a union where we can say, but this is the thing, brother, that don't nobody know. Our union has always taken an apolitical approach to things.
Right. So
you think, or do we? Is apolitical with issues concerning us. Until now.
This is the most political I've ever seen the NBA in my lifetime.
Because it's being put, and that's the thing, brother, that I love about it is that, like I said, it's a spiritual thing that is pushing that direction. Whether we want to go or not, it's certain brothers that are being lifted to those positions. And now, like I saw Kanye, he's on it now to where it ain't even him no more. It's beyond him. It's going back ancestral now because once it hits you, and I'm saying this, Dick Gregory, Lord rest his soul, he told me, say, Brother Hodge, until you put on the magic glasses, I can't tell you what it's like. But once you got them on, you're going to see through things like you never did before. And when you see it, you're going to be trying to tell people, but they got to find the glasses too. You feel me? And that's that life experience of going through this thing, hitting your head against the wall, thinking that this civilization and society is going to work for you because I went to college and I did all the right things, and now I'm going to move up this corporate ladder, and if I discuss this and if I do this, and then all of a sudden, bam, whoa, for real? Yeah, you ain't. Yeah, you more than qualified. Yeah, you have the skills. Yeah, but you know what? This is a white thing.
And I'm gonna hit this question too. This is a Zionist thing. This question is very incorrect. Kyrie was ostracized by a Chinese guy, not a Jew. Now that is some real, like, bro, that you are really trying to rewrite a story that's so short. Imagine if we're trying to go back and rewrite history. This happened 3 weeks ago. You're really trying to rewrite history right now.
This is a great teaching moment. These are great teaching moments. These are really great teaching moments. That's why it's humor. It's humor that helps. That's why when Dave Chappelle did his thing, it was fun. Man, I laughed because the truth can be so revealing, but people try to cover it like this. Okay, all right, we got you. But
bro, let's explain something to you, sir.
Come on.
Mr. Rockville Sam, once the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, an organization that many black people never even doggone heard of, put in the mouths of people like Nick Friedel, Max Kellerman, and all of the other Jewish individuals in the media, and said that book is an anti-Semitic trope, or has anti-Semitic soap. We didn't even know. Black people didn't even know. How did you guys know? You put that in the mouths of media who didn't even read the book yet.
Yes.
Okay. You not only did the ADL put that in the mouths of the media, the ADL on their own website has Hebrew Israelite organizations, pages of them, calling all of them anti-Semitic organizations. And you're trying to tell us. And then the ADL takes its little puppet strings and forces Silver to speak up finally, because he didn't say anything right away. You're telling me it's a Chinese guy?
See, man, and that's the, and those are, brother Rockville, man, I get you, man. I get where you come from. And that's your position. That's your position. But when you want to look into it, really look into it, man, and take off the blinders of where you stand and where you standing in your position, and you don't want to lose your position. And I have a certain position that if I tell the truth on this, it might, man, we got to take that, man. I don't care who you are on the planet. I don't care who you are, and I don't care what your stead is in life. It's time everybody's going to have to bear witness to this truth, man. And the truth is that, it goes back to the origin of things, and the origin of things is going to go back to the sister and where she fits in and where we connect. And now that we connected back, it's going to be a whole new thing, man. And that's why it's funny to me, man, when where we are right now and the way this thing is I'm talking about like today. Okay, I talked to my brother in Israel. He talked to the sister in Chicago, and now we're here. You know what I'm saying? So it's a worldwide, I'm not gonna say awakening, but I'm gonna say it's a worldwide ascension of our people again. And that regardless to where we are, we have a feeling of affinity to one another. And that maybe we're coming back. When one of the things about the 60s, man, is that we had a certain empathy and sympathy for one another. I think about growing up in the projects, and everybody who was a little short on something wasn't never short because somebody next door had enough butter and enough sugar for them to make their pound cake for Sunday dinner. So it was always a connection, and it wasn't no beefing, man. You know what I'm saying? When I look at all the beefing that's going on, and among our sisters even, how much you look at, you see them, they tripping on each other for no reason. And then it's like us as brothers, we so out our minds, man.
And all that is distracted. And
no question about it. No question.
This moment, and I'm going to let you close, but this moment for me, the two things I've thought of the most, first and foremost, I thought of the Jew in Israel. And I said to myself, this Hebrew Jew in Israel, places like the Moda,
yes,
and all of the other, that's not the only one, but these Hebrew establishments of settlements, and they're there, and they want to go back to their homeland. They want to live there. They've had generations there, and I think, wow, this has opened my eyes. I was just looking at the NBA. I was just looking at, what am I going to do next week? My brain has gone international. I'm coming to see you next week. Like, things are happening. And then the other thing I thought of was the European Jew who has nothing to do with this, but is caught up in a war of words, sentiment, and anger started by factions of European Jewish community that simply don't get it. And they have dragged unsuspecting, regular individuals and a community in Israel and Black people, Hebrew Israelite, Afro-Semitic, Afro-Hamitic, peoples of color all over the world, white, Black, and Latino, into something that looks like it's about to just doggone explode.
Yeah, man. And like I said, for me, and I'm gonna take that out of it. I think for the planet, it's a time where things are being revealed, and the revelations are going to be on levels where we never couldn't. And like I said, it's stranger than fiction. So some of this stuff that is, like you say, distractions are to stop from getting to the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter is that, you know, our enslavement was our enslavement, and that it's not something that we boast about, but it's the, you know, the historical reality. Just like when they want to talk about the Holocaust, that's their historical reality. So we at that point where, you know, right here, we love one, you know, and that love is the key. And but once again, what is that? You follow me? That it's that's one of the things that we're working on now is what is it? You know, when I think about growing up in 1960, it was if I said to somebody that I loved them as a grown man, they was looking at you like you was weak or something. You feel me? It was more of an inferred thing, you know. It was inferred tough love. Hey boy, hang in there, man. Hey, keep that step upper lip. You know, hey. You know, and it wasn't until I got to college and came home. Hey, granddaddy, I love you, man. I love you, daddy. Love you, boy.
Leave me alone. Give me a drink, damn it.
Get out of here, boy. You know what I'm saying? That it was but where now, you know, I tell my son, love you, man. You know, and it ain't no trippy. Where I think that's the part where we have to truly figure out how that is an action of things. What is an act of love? What is an act of, you know, what is an act of service? And how do we become the actors of that as opposed to the deception, the distractions? Let our actions be in movement with where the world is going and where the world needs to go.
Amen. And Rockville Sam, I just wanted to be fair to you.
You feel
Jews
me?
and blacks love each other. You know what? That's what we're pushing for, my brother.
Yeah. One thing that we got to Rockville Sam is I need to find out. Once again, we had that, you know, we got these duality of things. All right. One of the things for us studying what we've studied coming out of the black community. All right. We study the book of Revelation. Right. And in the book of Revelation, it says, behold, there are those who say they are Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. That ain't me saying it. That ain't you saying it. That ain't Sam saying it. That ain't the ADL saying it. That was the scripture that we study, and we say, okay, we bear witness to these tenets. So now, can they tell me who that is? Can the Jewish community tell me who it refers to in my scripture and the scripture of the black community when we talk about where this thing is headed in the future? And when it comes to the final closing of the book, it's telling us that. Who is that from the Jewish community? Tell me where that delineation is. And then we can say, that's who we're talking about, not these people. And that's where the delineation comes from, but it's got to come from them telling us, not us trying to figure it out. Because when we try to figure it out, we have to go to Eastern Europe. We have to come to America. We have to go all over the world to find out who the Jewish people are based upon when you decide to tell me. And we can't do that. I'm black all the time. I can't say that for instance, I can't say that I'm Jewish and all of a sudden I turn like the color of an Eastern Jew. No, it ain't gonna happen. So within the realm of this thing, man, we need to find out who that is. And I think that's where a lot of the rub goes. That when we say that, when we say those of the synagogue of Satan, that's when we are become anti-Semitic. That's what I've studied. So when I'm asking these questions as a person who's trying to find out so that there can be peace and love and unity on the planet, who is that? So now we can delineate that these are the ones that are the great ones and these are the ones that are that.
And if they can't answer that,
it ain't up to them. I'm cool with it. I'm cool. We know who we are. We know who we are.
That's what I was going to say. And if you can't answer that question, this is what we're going to ask you to do.
There you go.
Stop telling us who we know we are. That's it. If you can't answer that question, if you can't answer and articulate questions, which it might be a tough question, it's a prophetic question. It might have been a question that has been answered in biblical antiquity. It might be a question that is eschatological that will be answered in time. But if you can't answer the question, all we ask is when the black man stands up and says, I'm from there. Stop telling us we're not. That's all.
That's it.
Because you can't tell us
I think the most one of the most important things that we have an opportunity to possess is freedom of expression and definition. The power to define who you are, man.
Right.
And I think that's where this whole power structure has felt like they've been able to define who we are, especially as his brothers, that they feel like you say, you can give me enough money and then I'm going to only operate under you. You feel me? I'm not going to move outside of your structure. And if I do, it may be ramifications, but I'm willing, and that was my position, that, why shouldn't I have an opportunity to create the type of wealth for me and generations like the Rockefellers have, like the Rothschilds have? Why shouldn't my children and grandchildren see that type of vision and that type of future or that type of legacy? But we can't even fathom that in our people because the imagery and the downbeat has been such that, man, the only way I can do something is to be a rapper, a hooper, or a dope dealer.
But this is the worst part, Mr. Hodges. If I can't be a Rothschild, an uber wealthy individual, and I can't be a rapper, maybe I'm not good at that, and I'm not good enough to make the NBA or the NFL. Why can't I simply just express who I am without being called an anti-Semite? Why can't I just be a regular guy on the street? Why can't I just be a regular man that says, I believe I am a Shemitic man? Why does that insult a section of Jewish thought, Zionists, where my identification, I don't want your Rothschild money. I don't want to work for your Jewish NBA. I just want to be a regular guy. A guy might be saying that, but why can't I just say who I am? Why are you offended at me? Weren't you happy when I was a basketball player? Weren't you happy when I was a rapper? Why are you unhappy that I don't want any of those things? I just want to identify with a homeland that you say is in common with you. Why am I an anti-Semite?
Yes, and I think that's where, once again, that real discussion comes in, man, because it goes back to original. The original ethnicity of the people who were there in that land called Palestine, that land which is North Africa. You know what I'm saying? So once again, man, the whole geographical dilemma, the whole deception of the Middle East, the whole deception, you look at the House of Saud, at one time it was Arabia, we look at Boricua, it's Puerto Rico now. So what are the origins of things? And that's what I'm saying. The origin, that is the main issue right now on the face of the globe. And that's why the distraction is among men, that the original is the system, man. And they don't want us to vibrate and get to the vibrational space where now that's all encompassing is our protection of that part of it, and us as the brotherhood knowing that, hey, oh yeah, it's time now. And see, that's the cold part for me. When I look at it, you think about this, man. What would have happened if Charles Barkley and Shaq would have went a whole different way? No, we with Kyrie. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. What's the brother in the white cat with the bow tie? What's his name?
This brother, who? Oh, Ernie? Ernie,
oh,
yeah, they said Ernie. What are you talking about? We with Kyrie, Ernie.
Ernie, we with him, man. Yo, man, no, we with him. So I don't know.
They had the debriefing before they even came on. Ernie was whipping those boys in a direction. Only person who didn't take the bait was Kenny Smith.
And see, once again, I tell people, Kenny, that point guard, he running the show. He know I got to be in the middle. I can't get too far here, and I can't get too far here because I got to see both sides of the court. So
right.
I'm here and hey, if you gotta listen to everything he said. If you're gonna take anything, he said, got to take all of it.
Got to take all of it. I believe this and I believe this. So therefore, the boy said he's not anti-Semitic. He's not anti-Semitic. Next topic.
You feel me? And then I look at other people. Like when I look at, I like I said, for the life of me, Kareem, that still is bothering me because you changed your name, you changed the game, you did all of these things that make us as young men think that freedom of thought, freedom of expression, African connections, all were very meaningful. Now it seems like everything is reversed. And I'm like, maybe your job was just to get us to where we needed to be.
Maybe.
No.
And I'm gonna close with this. You know what? Because sometimes you got to give your adversaries an opportunity.
Oh yes.
Right? And he says the Fortune 500 list has a record number of Black CEOs. Mm-hmm. Brother, Black people have run the world longer than any other community, from ancient Egypt,
Mansa Musa,
the Mali Empire, okay, to the Assyrian Empire. They're Black too. You know that? Syria. Listen, Egypt again. It is not about the amount of Fortune 500 Black people. Right. It is not. That is not what the conversation is about. It is about who controls the social narratives, right, and allows now information to be miscommunicated to the masses. What group of individuals was capable of corralling 100 million souls? Because the Jewish community never wants us to forget for their 6 million. But what about the 100 million of individuals transported, right, in the Middle Passage from 1400s? Because some people say, oh, the slavery started in 1600. No, it started in the 1400s.
Yes.
It started in Europe. It went on in the Islamic countries. It came here. It went to South Africa. It went to South America. It went to the Caribbean. No one is having a conversation of how that affected us. Yes. And it's never going to stop. We're never going to stop talking about it, just like you're never going to stop talking about the Holocaust, because it's still relevant. And I'll leave it at this, and I'll let you close, Mr. Hodges. Black people in America have only been free for 200 years. Not even 1863 to now. It's still not even 200 years. You've only been free for 200 years, okay? If you are the original Jew, if you are really the original Jew, you've been free for 3,000. So don't bring up 500 Fortune 500 Negroes and talk about that I'm free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Because when individuals were in America making $1 million, they still had to travel in the back of the hotel. They still couldn't go they still couldn't drink out of a certain water fountain, even though they were rich. So please, miss me with the stupid statistics. But bless you and have a good night.
Right. Brother, one of the things I'm going to leave people with is that, when we're looking at this whole historical debate and all of that, is that history is always taught by the perpetrator, the collaborator, and then there's the victim. Those are the three things of history. It's going to be told by those who robbed and pillaged. They got the upper hand, so they're going to be able to tell the story from their standpoint. And then they're going to have the collaborators who are part and parcel of the the plan of destruction. And then right now, we who have been victimized over those years that you spoke about, and Kyrie being a descendant of that, and not only the transatlantic slave Holocaust, but the Native American Holocaust. Right. Like you said, they did such an eradication job on them that they, hardly see any of them walking around like that, man. And that in itself should tell us something. So once again, man, let it, brother like Rockville, he needs to look at history, from a standpoint of the victim lens one time and see the difference as opposed to that of the perpetrator or collaborator.
Mr. Hodges, thank you very much for tonight.
Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate, what, this just made my day, brother. I'm going to have this video for the rest of my life, be able to say, I sat there and talked to I talked basketball with one of the NBA greats, and don't tell them, but we're probably going to see each other next week. We're going to organize some stuff, and we'll come out there. Chi-Town, stand up.
Man, let's make it happen, man. It's all about timing, and now it's time for us to, rubber meets the road, man, and make things happen.
I'm going to let just hold on for 2 minutes. Just say goodbye to the great Craig Hodges. Everybody, I just want to let the stream go and just say some amazing things about this amazing man who came here, this little country boy like myself, and talked to us I just want us to appreciate him. And we learned so much tonight. To all of my members, all of the super thanks people, thank you very much. I've seen it, Timbo, Slice, and all the other people that blessed us. I very much appreciate it. All of your stuff is coming. Love to Craig Hodges is saying, come on, man, just fill this up for a little while. Just talk about this brother, because listen, he's one of the lost treasures of our community. And somebody needs to go back and talk to the NBA and say, listen, the white balling has to stop. You guys owe him his reparations. Get the man his pension. Give the man his position. Come on to Toronto. Nick Nurse will hire you, Craig. Come to Toronto, baby. Come up here come up here, big fella.
Yeah, you know, okay? Crazy.
Come to the north. I'm the king of the north. Come up here.
I was in the Philippines when you guys were on that run with Kawhi, right?
Right.
And I'm telling them, I'm like, oh, they got it. And they're like, how you going to say Toronto is going to win? This is before the series ever started. And I was going to go back home. I was like, man, when you have, once again, that momentum.
Yep.
And when you have, like when we were winning in Chicago, man, it was a certain feeling. 2 days before the game, you go downtown Chicago, the buildings have your names on it, our Bulls everywhere, and you feeling the energy of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a city. But when you had the whole nation of Canada behind them, it wasn't no way they could lose.
No way. No way. And Kawhi made the biggest mistake of his life. The whole of Canada right now would be wearing New Balance, because New Balance, everybody would be wearing New Balance. This whole Nike thing wouldn't even be a problem. Kawhi, I don't know what Mr. Bomber paid you, brother, but you had a country and you chose a city.
But think about it. He's been on a paid vacation.
Hasn't played since he left here.
I love it. I love it that you know, play when you want to play. I love it. And get your bread, play when you want to play. You know, elongate your career, brother. I ain't mad at you.
See, but he ain't never going to win. How does somebody? I know we're closing. But how does somebody leave a championship team and go play for the Clippers?
Economics. It's simple economics, brother. And that's the thing. While you in there, you got to think economics too. So I ain't mad at him. You feel me? So he'll get another chance to get out of the ring. Watch, because I'm telling you one thing. He's my favorite player in the league. And
why?
Yes, because he plays like a player in the 70s and 80s. It ain't no wasted motion. It's not. He reminds me almost of a Marcus Johnson type focus.
Okay.
But him playing and working with Kobe, he's an assassin. You feel me? Kobe, everybody who Kobe put a little ink on, man, they straight up, and they some coming like this with a mask on, some coming like this. You feel me? Kobe coming like Kobe.
I'm gonna tell you my favorite player.
What was that?
Okay? I'm claiming him as my biological son, and I'll pay all the back child support. Zion Williamson.
Got you.
Zion Williamson. That's I call it.
Only thing I'm worried about him is the way he plays and the weight that he carries, because it's a natural weight.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a certain amount of foot pressure that I'm concerned with him.
That's the Charles Barkley thing. I think when you're one of these big, massive dudes, he's been jumping out the gym his entire life. His body's built different. I think he's just going to have to figure it out. I think he'll adjust, and I think he's going to be one of the greatest players who ever touched the basketball court.
Man. And my second is Russell Westbrook, man.
I love Russell Westbrook,
and the reason I
love him. That dude right there. He should have won back-to-back MVPs. If they gave the other boy there from the Nuggets back-to-back, Russell should have won back-to-back MVPs for back-to-back triple-double, like averaging a triple-double. There's no reason he couldn't have won it.
Man, I tell people, I don't care if he don't make a shot. It's not because he ain't hustling.
Yep.
He plays hard, man. He plays hard. I love it. You good, brother?
I'm good, brother. Bless you, man. I appreciate you.
Family. Peace and love.
Peace and love, man. And thank you very much for Christina King, who set this up, man. Listen, I'm that lady she's got me hooked up to everybody, so I appreciate her. And I can't wait to see you next week in
Yeah,
Chicago.
man. Peace, peace. I see you then, man. Lord
Okay,
willing.
man. Bless you.
Peace.
Bye-bye. To all of my subscribers out here, wasn't that an amazing conversation? Like, and Rockland Sam, I love you too, man. I'm a little bit of a hater. That's okay. But my goal here is to actually bridge our community. But similar to what the Jewish community always says, you have to teach, and we have to teach what is the issue from our perspective, so that you can actually come to the table and say, "I get it." Our issue is that the ADL is operating like a hate group, and you got to prove us that the ADL is not a hate group. All right, we're not talking to. I'm not even getting to the Southern law, whatever yet. The ADL is operating like a hate group against us. The Jewish community themselves should start advocating for themselves and say, hey, you got to stop calling these people names. They're angry. They're not taking it anymore. And what we've been doing in the name of anti-Semitism is just pushing the envelope too far. And when some of you do that, I'll shut up. Period. Right? And I don't know what you just said there, brother, but let me look you up. Jews don't have a problem, and I don't represent the ADL group, and neither do many Jews. And that's why you're not the problem. I don't know why you're here hassling me. Okay? Buy me a doggone drink. I'm not fighting you. I'm fighting the ADL. That's who I'm fighting. I'm picking my fight with the Anti-Defamation League. That's what, and if you're not with the ADL, then you're with me. That's all I got to say, because, brother, nobody here was attacking Jewish people before the ADL got on an onslaught against us. And so we are not coming for Jewish people. We're coming for the ADL, and we're coming for anybody who sides with the ADL, because the ADL has an agenda. And that agenda, I call it Zionism, and not the Zionism that has brought German Jews and European Jews to a homeland to keep them safe from Auschwitz or situations going on in Nazi Germany. I'm talking about a Zionism that is aggressively attacking and trying to change the identity of peoples of the book. That's who I'm talking about. I'm not here to fight with you, but you picked the fight with us, and I said it, and this is how everything started. That was a bad idea. And so the Jewish community should go back to the people that are putting out these evil rhetorics against our faith groups, against our artists, against our authors, against our screenplay writers, and say, listen, this has gone too far. And Brereton's out here stirring up a hornet's nest, which I doggone am, and it's going to keep going. So all I'm saying to you, Rockland Sam, and Jews that are like you, I'm not talking about you, bro. I'm not talking about you. My fight is with the ADL. My fight is with Jonathan Greenblatt. And they're going to take those faith groups from the Black community off their list. That's it. That's very simple. That's very easy. You go there and tell those boys, write them a good letter, go on his Twitter page and say, take the Hebrew Israelites off of the doggone website. Okay? Go put up the KKK. Go put up white supremacist groups. Take our faith groups off. It's that simple. It's easy. All right? Love everybody here. And I thank you. Drinks are $20 in Chicago. Okay. Sam, I'm coming there, baby. And I'm coming to drink. The arrogance of the ADL is deep. It's deep, and it's insulting. And for the Jewish community not to get that and not to understand that, I think something's wrong. Yosef Green, you keep saying no. I don't understand what your no means, bro. I don't know. It's insulting. Okay? It's insulting to us. And it has to stop. And when your community is insulted, you go far. Now, when our community is insulted, we don't have the financial wherewithal of the Jewish community. You know what we have? We have giant black men. That's what we have. And we are going to show you. We are the giants in the land. That's all I got to say tonight. I hope you love this. Guess who's coming on Saturday? Ron Dalton. That's right. Ron Dalton. All right. Ah, yeah, there was almost deafening silence from the NBA players. It was terrible. It was terrible. So everybody, God bless you. Love you for being here. Share this. I want to keep it open. Share this. Send it around the world. I really wish there was more people in here because they needed to see Craig. But share this. Send it around the world. And Shot Town. See you soon. Thank you very much, Amar. Good night, everybody.